You are listening to me talking to myself. Welcome to the podcast where I share useful tools to create more space, more freedom, inner peace, connection, and life on purpose. Today, I want to talk about consuming and creating and why we feel stuck. So what does consuming mean? Consuming is taking in information, taking in other people's experiences, taking in food, things from the world and from the outside. So it's not an output, it is an input. To drink, to eat, to ingest, to buy or use up, to consume. We are brainwashed in a lot of ways to consume because it should make us feel better. Go get some chocolate, go watch TV, go buy something, it will make you feel better. It is important and interesting to look at our life and evaluate our consumption versus our creation. What do I use my life for? To consume or to create? So we make a conscious decision about our own life. And I want to invite you to do that. So when you're living your life in a consumptive way, you're basically a bystander to the activities of other people's creation. So if you think about it, when you eat food, when you're on social media, when you're purchasing products, when you're watching other people, you are consuming. All of us, we need to consume. Of course, we need to consume in order to survive. But most of us are consuming much more than creating. Over-consuming information, things, food. And the problem with that is that we are not living a conscious life when we are in consumption. Because when I am a creator, I cannot spend most of my time consuming because I will not have enough time to be innovative. I will not have enough time to access my own potential and create. So think about social media. Are you creating content? Are you posting? Or are you scrolling and checking stories and reading comments? Are more people witnessing your life and your creation, or are you witnessing their life and their creation? And this is not to say that everybody should be a creator if you do not want to. It is just interesting to know what we spend our time and energy on, and ultimately our life. So if you're constantly in a state of consuming, that doesn't mean that you're constantly buying things. You may just be thinking about buying things. You may just be gossiping about other people and what they do and their life. It doesn't matter what you do, you are still creating value for other people. You're creating value with your life by creating your life on purpose. When you live a life by default, when you live a life that someone else has prescribed for you and you're not making conscious choices and conscious decisions about your possibilities, you're not creating. You're consuming a life that has been presented to you. You're consuming what other people tell you is important or relevant to consume. The problem is that human brains want to be part of the masses. We want to belong and be with others, and be like others, and be liked. And that's why masses of people consume the exact same thing in the exact same way. This is not a conscious creation to their own life. A lot of people say, well, I will just follow this person and what they do with their life, instead of really thinking about what your brain, your desire, and your experience could create for you that would be a unique life. It is consciously deciding what is your contribution. What is your unique way of showing up in the world and giving to the world that creates value for the people around you? When we are in consumption, we feel full in so many ways. We feel stagnant, we feel stuck. We feel hopeless and bored and frustrated and jealous and envious of other people. And this is because we do not see that we are the ones creating our lives by consuming everyone else's life. And of course, it is so much easier to consume than it is to create. It is much more difficult to have people commenting and complaining and disliking what you do. It's much harder to be the one on the stage, in the arena, than it is to be the one in the audience. It is much more difficult to create a business and put it out in the world than it is to sit passively by and comment on other people doing that. But you have to decide at the end of your life. Do you want to be someone who consumed their whole life, or do you want to be someone who created? One of the main reasons why we are consuming, why we are constantly in the consumer role in our life, is because we do not know how to deal with our emotions. And we seem to learn how to deal with our emotions from companies that are offering to sell us products that will solve our emotions. Hey, buy this food, you will feel better. Hey, take this pill, you will feel better. Buy this clothes, buy these shoes, and you won't have to feel the way that you feel. And it is so tempting for so many of us. So let's bring it down to where we are today. And let's do an evaluation on ourselves, and let's be honest with ourselves. When you think about a 24-hour day, how much of that day are you creating something new of value to the world? How much of your life is consciously planning to create value? And notice the amount of dopamine that we get from creating value in the world. That is why we get dopamine, by going out there and creating value in the world. That accomplishment is energizing. And think about the dopamine we get from consuming. It is the feeling of stagnating. The only thing it motivates us to do is to consume more. Dopamine that we receive from consuming does not encourage us to create. But dopamine we get from creating does encourage us to do more, to create more. That's why you notice that people who create continue to create. People that have offerings continue to make offerings, continue to step out there and be willing to risk and fail and try and create life on purpose. So answer yourself a question. Are you consuming or creating more? The second question is, are you actively creating your life? When we look out into the world to decide what we want to do with our life, we miss out on our individual, authentic life that we can create from looking internally for all the answers, for what we have to offer. And the third question is, think about what you want in your life. When you think about what you want in your life, what comes to your mind? And the way that you answer this question will really help reveal whether you are in consumption or creation. Because if what you want in your life is a car and a house, if you're kind of going through the things that you want to consume, this is where you are. But when you ask yourself what you want for your life and you start thinking about what you want to create in the world, you want to create a safe space, you want to create experiences for people, when you really consciously think about creating, it requires a little bit more effort, but it's also going to be so much more rewarding because it is authentic and purposeful. We are always going to consume. This is part of the deal. We need to survive. It's when we get into passive consumption and overconsumption that we get stuck and we feel helpless. We can do anything we want with our life. And what's holding most of us back is, I don't know. And the reason why we don't know is because we haven't taken the time to be creative in creating opportunities and possibilities and visions for what we want because we are way too busy consuming. If you feel confused and stuck and hopeless and powerless and helpless, start creating. If you start creating anything, it doesn't matter, create something. As soon as you start creating, more creation will come from there. And you will end up with a more creative and authentic life. Join me for my upcoming retreats to question all the things, to explore what we want, and to be creative. Thank you for being curious. If you enjoyed listening, rate, review, subscribe, share, and join the conversation. Do not miss out on yourself, your power, and what is possible for you.